Okay, so Zero Hedge did an article on December 9th about escape liberal hell. Oregon, Washington Republicans flee Pacific Northwest, join California conservatives in Idaho. Now, the information that the original information is from the Secretary of State. Uh, it is that was published the end of November, so not too long ago. And various articles have been written on that. Seattle Times did one, and then also Idaho Capital Sun, and I believe there was another one looking at that data. 65% is the overall um, percentage of Republicans in the state of Idaho. And in California, 75% registered as Republicans. So that means that the Californians coming into Idaho are actually making Idaho even more red, at least in terms of the registered voters as of 2004. In Ada County specifically, it's about 59% Republican, 17% Democratic. But I think in the terms of Kuna, District 23, which is where Kuna is located, making up the south part of Kuna, the south part of Canyon County, and all of Owyhee County, is basically a Republican stronghold, and unlikely turning blue anytime soon, just because of the rural nature of it and the fact that there's no Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. So liberals don't tend to like; they prefer to be around, their Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, and so it is so Republican that a Democrat did not even run in the general election for the 2022 for the District 23 representative seats. They didn't even bother. They did for the Senate side, and they lost. It was a definitive defeat. It was an obvious, clear defeat, and you can take a look at that. That's Senator Todd Lakey. So all of the decisions ultimately are made in the primaries, which happen in May, which are coming again in May 2024. So anyway, the notion that Idaho is turning blue, or now you can make the argument Boise is turning blue or has been blue a long time. You can make the argument that perhaps the Californian, this is now this is something I don't know. Now we're getting into Idaho state politics, and this is not specifically related to Kuna. So I don't know if I want to be going, stepping on their toes, because now you start running into rhinos. You start talking about how the difference in perception between the Californians, right, the relative newcomers in Idaho fleeing the bad policies of California and Seattle or Washington State, the liberal policies, and really perhaps as a reaction, or just they tend to be more right wing, more radical than the fifth generational Idahoan. Now that could be more of a larger discussion, and it could be related to if you've just lived in Idaho and you haven't seen firsthand, you haven't had to live through it, right, of these really bad policies. You just kind of take the general rhetoric or from these larger corporations that, it's not as bad, they're just overreacting, right? Versus the Californians who've had to uproot their family and, make a big change, and, they're in the cold. They were in San Diego. They were in, the Beach Boys California weather, and they had to move because things were so bad. They tend to have a very much more radical and angry perspective than maybe the fifth generational Idahoan. All right, have a good one. Bye bye.